Hi there. My name is Adiola Kingsley James. How have you been today? I don't know what time you're watching this video, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. How are you doing? It's morning where I'm in Nigeria at the moment, and I'm really excited to be here again, sharing out of my wealth of knowledge with you. Last week, or last episode, or last conversation we had, we talked about having a happy, healthy relationship. Today, then I got some questions, and the question was, how do you make your lover do what you want them to do? How do you make them behave the way you want them to behave? And can you? That was the other question that I was asked. Now, I'm going to do my best to answer those questions, and it is Adiola's response to the questions, okay? My way is a way, not the way, okay? So can you make other people behave the way you want them to behave? I have two answers to that. It's yes and no. Yes, because if you behave a particular way, and if you want somebody to behave a particular way and you behave that way, you can move them into behaving that way. So yes. No, because you cannot control what other people do. You can only control what you do, right? Now, can you manipulate people? I think you can, right? But that's the topic for another day. However, we're talking about being happy and having a happy relationship. Remember, last conversation I said, be happy first, and then you can create a happy relationship. If you're sad, you cannot create a happy relationship from sadness or trauma or depression or anxiety or fears. You can't, So let's now say that you have moved on to becoming happy so that you can attract a happy person. Now, I sit down and wonder, why do I want to even control anybody? We're different for a reason. Now, let's imagine, and this question I used to ask myself, imagine there were 100 of people like me walking on the place of the earth. At what point, and they were in my circle, at what point would I be tired of me? And this is one of the questions I used to ask myself to help me become a better person. At what point would I get tired of me? So the question is, do I want the same kind of people everywhere I go to? No, because there's beauty in diversity, okay? As long as we understand that we don't need to understand everything that we say, we respect each other and we regard each other, and it's from a place of unconditional love. So all the words that I'm using and all the things that I'm saying comes from you first. Remember, forgiving. That's what life is about. It's to give and then receive. You cannot sow and not get harvest. You can't. So, and also, in the same breath, what you sow is what you're going to reap. So if you're looking to manipulate people, then you're in the wrong space. Now, because I also believe in the law of vibration and the law of attraction. And law of vibration is your emotions, the energy you put out there, which is emotions. For me is energy in motion. And that's what vibrates with other people. And then the law of attraction kicks in, and then which means that which is likened unto itself is drawn. I also believe, once again, and I'll tell you once again, it's my belief, right? We're all one spirit in different bodies, which then means that I can connect to your spirit regardless of whether you're with me or not. That's my belief. I believe that I can speak to your spirit and salute the divinity in your spirit. But I can only salute it if I also know that I'm divine, or I've got divinity in my own spirit. So everything, once again, that you want to get from other people, you need to become it first. You need to possess it to be able to attract it, because you cannot be on level 0 and attract something on level 100. It's like you want to make a phone call to somebody. If you don't have the person's number, how are you going to vibrate to the person? Now, let's even say you have a number for the person and it's not the real number. How are you going to connect with the person? But imagine you have the person's number, you have your phone, and you call the person and you relate to that person on that vibration, because that person picks up the call and you're able to have a conversation. And that's how vibration works. We must be on the same level for us to connect. Otherwise, we'll never connect, right? So can you speak to somebody's spirit to get them to do, to behave from a place of wholesomeness and love and regard towards you? You could, and you most likely can. I believe that I do. If I feel like, I have a rough relationship with somebody, I don't go talking or complaining about the person. If I feel like, our first start was off the wrong start, what do? I start to just salute the divinity in the person. The second thing I do is start to say exactly how our relationship is going to be, especially if I'm going to spend time with you. And I did it with my marriage. And I always use myself as an example, just to show you that I use it too, right? I remember my husband and I used to quarrel a lot. The communication between both of us was terrible. We never used to listen to understand. We only used to listen to attack each other. And we were always on each other's necks. It was always the other person's fault and never our faults, right? And so I started to speak to the situation, and I'll say, even if we finished quarreling, as I put down my phone, I will say, the relationship I have with my husband is phenomenal. We have such a wonderful relationship. Our conversation goes so well. We respect each other. We regard each other. He's able to air his views, and I listen. And I'm able to air my views, and he listens. And he listens with insight. He listens to understand. That's how I started to speak to it and speak to him. I salute the divinity within you. And I also, I started to speak to him, speak to his heart. And I'll also speak to myself as well, that Adiola, XYZ. I started to speak to myself, regardless of whether we were still fighting or not, because I understood that where we are today is who we created yesterday. And for me to create the person that I want to live with and the person I want to be and become, I need to start to create it today. So do you want to get people to do the things that you want? If that's you, that's fine, you can. But you need to do those things first. You need to be that person before you can ask of it from someone else. And so as you be that person, the person will check from you as well, regardless of what it is. And also, what can you do? Be exactly like me. Speak to the situation, speak to that person, affirm it. I so believe in the power of your words. When you have uncomfortable conversations or uncomfortable relationships with people, regardless of who it is, your husband, your wife, your children, your boss, your colleagues, your staff, is because of what you are saying to yourself in your mind about the person. It's because of the thoughts that you're thinking. If you think that your boss is difficult and he will be difficult with you, that's exactly what he's going to do. And I used to think that about my boss. He would speak to people brashly. And I started to say, I salute the divinity within this man. Every time he sees me, there's a cool, calm, and water that flows in his body towards me. He likes me. He regards me. He listens to what I have to say. He respects me. Every time he sees me, he doesn't know what it is, but he just knows that that's how I started to speak to his spirit. And now we have such a phenomenal relationship. Even if he had a challenge or a problem with me, he would say it to me with respect and regard, because I have intended it to be that way. I have put it out in the universe that the relationship I have with you, I don't care about anybody else, but the relationship I have with you is like this. And so I then have to become it. I have to be that person of patience. I have to be that person of accommodating him. I have to be the person, that would show up in every time I'm talking to him from a place of love, for him to connect with me on that level. So I hope this answers the question to the person who asked me this question, that yes and no. Like I said, yes, you can manipulate people or speak to people and get them to do what you want by being that person first. And no, because you cannot change anybody. The only person you can change is you. You cannot control what anybody does. The only person you can control is you. But if you go back inside and change your person and personality and behavior and thoughts and self-talk about that person will also change. Have a wonderful day again, and I hope this was helpful. I honor you.